My name is Dr. Kofi Bonney. I'm a senior research fellow at the virology department here at Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research. My research focus or interest is in viral hemorrhagic fevers. I do diagnosis aspect of it, testing for suspected cases, and also we try to develop what we call the testing kits or testing tools to look out for some of these viral agents in humans. So basically that is what I do as a scientist or a research scientist here in Noguchi. If you ask me about evolution of science in Ghana, that means I will take it from the point where I started doing a bit of science. But we can go as way back secondary school and then come in. We took interest in doing science in secondary school, and even at the time, the kind of labs that we have or we had at the time was not well equipped as now some labs are. Look at the people who are going to science. The numbers have gone up, especially even the ladies now have come in strongly. But then if you come to a place like this, Noguchi, where we do science, when I entered here in 2000 when I came in here to do my national service before I started working here, the labs were not as equipped as we see now. The equipments there even were equipment that takes a long time to do a simple diagnosis. Now we have equipment that we call rapid diagnostic equipment. For example, if you are looking for somebody that the hospital has suspected that is having Ebola, they will bring a suspected case to Noguchi. They expect Noguchi to give them a response in a short time because of how deadly that disease is. So the people who took the sample cannot go home till they have heard the results. So we are talking about a matter of about 6 hours. We can do everything and give them the results. I mean, before that, this sample has to be taken out of the country to an advanced country where they will use some other techniques to bring out the so it will take more than a week. So when you talk about evolution of science in country, you can say that now things have improved. We've got in new equipment for diagnosis. Even at school level, we have gotten now science labs that basics and people there are learning the basics, though it is not still that equipped to the level that we want it, but at least they will have some idea. So when they come here, especially for excursions and things, and you mention some equipment, they have seen it or heard it before. They worked with it before and all that. So I would say that over the years, we have, improved with equipment, with knowledge, and even the way we see science as a people in the country. There has been some improvement. So we have evolved. We have evolved tremendously. That's what I will say. Even though we can say that there is more room for improvement. If we talk about science and scientific work, we will say that those of us who are doing research, our main goal is to publish our findings. But most of the time, these findings that we publish are international journals. Most of them, though we have journals, local journals in Ghana, like the Ghana Medical Journal and all that. But apart from that, which other journal is that attractive to scientific readership? Very less. So most of the journals outside is where we publish in. So people get to know about what we do even outside. Even though we have internet, people can read, but few people are reading. So you get to know very little of what we do, but rather the outside world get to know. And also because of what we do, we use that one to attract more funding. So if we do the international, we tend to get funding if it is a recognized journal. We use that one to write grants, apply for other other funding agencies to get money to run. So that's what we target. So if you do that, people in country will have difficulty getting to know what you have done. Unless we do a community survey or a community work or even a hospital-based work, and in the end we go back to the hospital to give them a feedback of what we did there, then they will get to know, oh, so this is what is happening. This is what we need to do. This is what we need to change. That like we are giving them the scientific basis of what we have done. So it informs them. either to change their interventions or to do that. So if we don't do the local, going back to local communities or local health facilities to give them feedback, people get to know very less of what we have done, because we tend to publish our findings in international journals and we don't read. So what I would say is that we are not seen country for what we do, unless there is a problem, like the recent Ebola crisis in West Africa. That became a national affair. People were dying in neighboring countries. So the health system, or the Ghana Health Service, kind of sensitized the health staff that this is what is happening. People got to know that people are dying. So if you see any signs that looks like that, bring samples. Then people became aware that, look, so that means these things are there. There are people in a place like Noguchi that can do even testing for it. I don't know for that. Even the name of Noguchi, how many people know? So for us and our work to be recognized in this country, I would say very little is known. Apart from the people working in, people know very less, unless something happens and people are dying and they mention that, oh, they have sent this to this place for them to do research into it or to test. Then people know, okay, so there are institutions like that that do that. Apart from that, we can talk about those who teach science. How many of them do we even hear of them? In fact, not too long ago, there was one of the greatest scientists in this country, Professor Alote. He worked even as far as NASA in US. He was one of the greatest mathematicians that we have ever produced in country. Fortunately, he passed on. That should have been a national affair. But when he passed on, it was right about the same time that this musician that we like, Bonney, also passed on. But you see, Ebony's news overshadowed that of this man who is one of the greatest scientists. So then everybody was talking about this lady. And this man was just left in the doldrums. We were not even hearing that he is passed on. So this is, I'm not saying that she is not important. She's important. This man is also important. But if you look at the caliber of person I was talking about, the work that he has done, in fact, we could have given him a national recognition at the time. But because of other things, people are interested in other things. Yeah, it's good that we have this other aspect, but that gives a clear example of what I'm talking about. The scientists are not really seen or recognized. So there is a major thing happening. Maybe we can blame ourselves because of how we tend to send our information outside and all that, or we do things outside. We don't try to tell people about science. We can take it from there. If we are able to even organize press briefings of our findings from time to time, people will appreciate what we are doing. So in a way, we can blame ourselves for not doing that. But to tell you for a fact, in country, scientists are, no, they are not recognized at all. They don't know what we are doing. You see, anything that is done pictorially is beautiful. You see, people tend to understand things more when it's in pictures or when it is dramatized, acted, you see, than sitting here and talking about it. So I think it would be a brilliant idea to have these artists coming out to explain some of these scientific things that we do in that way. I think it would be perfect, because the people, the audience, will identify with it. And that's what we want. If something is done that you understand, you see, you carry it with you wherever you go. But then if you talk about it, people can forget about it. But the picture of it, you carry it with you. So I think it's one of the best ideas if you should have things like that done. Yeah.